If you are dealing with a lot of anxiety right now, then this video is for you. Hi guys, it's JFO here for another Friday High Vibes video. And by the end of this video, you will have the only spiritual tool you will need to survive this pandemic. If you're new to my channel, my name is Jennifer Fercelli, but everyone calls me JFO. And I have been studying spirituality and self-help and astrology for 25 years. I have so much knowledge to share, and I don't think any of us thought we'd be in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, but I want to give you my spiritual tips and tools to survive. Before we dive in, I want to make sure you get all of my videos, so make sure to click subscribe at the bottom of this video and make sure to click the bell so you get notifications when I have a new video. So before I dive into the one spiritual tip you need to survive a pandemic, I wanted to have a little bit of a disclaimer. So a lot of us are in totally different pandemic boats. And I can't actually remember where I got this from. I wish I could credit the person that said this, but we're all in different boats. So some people are in a yacht, other people are in a dinky kayak, right? Weathering this storm. So a lot of people right now are in the midst of this storm. I'm one of them, and I'm in a fancy yacht. I really haven't had too much change, which is really a blessing, right? But on the flip side, there are people that are literally in a dinky kayak with holes in the kayak, weathering this storm and thinking, how am I going to get through this? Because they are on the front lines. And I really just want to say that no matter where you are in this worldwide pandemic, it is meant to be. Where you are right now, it is meant to be. So the first thing I want to say is that we need to start using an affirmation that this pandemic is not happening to us. It's happening for us. We will be stronger in the end. We will be more aware in the end, and we will be evolved in the end. Okay? So please start using that affirmation that this pandemic is happening for us, not to us. The second thing I want to say is that A Course in Miracles teaches us that there's no order of difficulty with miracles, meaning you can pray for a miracle for a turkey sandwich, or you could pray for a miracle in terms of someone's really sick and you want them to get well. Obviously, in the plane of two-ness that we're in, right? We come from oneness, but we're in two-ness. In this earth human experience, there's levels, there's separation, there's degrees, right? There's measurement. So it's very easy for us to measure and say, well, a turkey sandwich is ridiculous compared to someone's life. Obviously, as humans, that's a little ridiculous when we think about that, right? But A Course in Miracles perspective states that there's no order of difficulty in miracles. It does not matter how extreme the suffering is or how light the suffering is. The miracle is the miracle. And by the way, a miracle is a shift in perception from fear to love. So I really wanted to break down, before I give you the tips, I really wanted to break down what I'm calling pandemic suffering categories. So basically these categories are going to be from a human perspective, not like a woo-woo spiritual perspective, right? Because when we come from that woo-woo spiritual perspective of no judgment and there's no order of difficulty in miracles and all suffering is suffering, it can sometimes feel frustrating. If you are in the middle of a storm in a freaking kayak, you're pissed. You're pissed when someone says that, right? So I really wanted to create these categories so that we can really measure the suffering from extreme pandemic suffering to light pandemic suffering. Category 1, you're sick. Whether you're sick with COVID-19 or you're sick with some other illness, being sick is category number 1. And the biggest reason why it's category number 1 is because the body is where most of the suffering is happening, right? And so it's very, very hard to keep our mind high vibes. So that is category 1, and I bow to you if you are in category 1. Category 2, essential workers. If you are in category 2, okay, maybe you're not sick, but you are in the sickness. You are either working in the hospitals, maybe you're working on the front lines as a police officer, maybe you are working in the grocery store, maybe you are mail and you're delivering packages. I mean, the list could go on, but you are an essential worker on the front lines. You have to go to work. You're doing your absolute best to keep your mind high while you are amidst what is going on. Again, we bow to you. This is not easy when you are face front of what is going on. So in this category, maybe your physical body isn't actually specifically sick, but you are in the front lines of the fear. You are in the front lines of that low vibration, right? So when you are there and maybe your mind is not strong enough to handle it and you're thinking thoughts that are spinning you more into the fear, that is why this category is so hard. So if you are in category 2, we bow to you, we pray for you, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being on the front lines, serving and doing whatever is necessary to help us all get out of this. Thank you so much for the work you are doing. And I know that this is really hard. You might not be sick, but you are surrounded by the fear of what is going on because it's right in front of your face. And so I'm gonna have some really special tips for you. Category 3, family suffering. If you fall in this category, you either have had a loved one who is either passed on from this illness, maybe you are away from your loved one because of this illness, maybe you are pregnant and you're freaking out about going through a labor and a delivery in the midst of a pandemic. Another thing that could be happening for you if you're in this category is just simply you are homeschooling your children right now and it's driving you crazy and they're emotional and you're emotional, or maybe you're fighting with your spouse because of this. This is family related suffering because of the pandemic. Category 4, money loss. If you fall in this category, you have suffered some type of money loss. Maybe you've lost your job. Maybe you lost clients. Maybe you had to take your emergency fund and use it. Something along the lines of losing money. And that is so freaking scary. Again, you're not sick, right? It's not your body. Maybe you're not in the front lines, but your own personal stability and your own personal foundation has been rocked and the rug has been ripped out from under you. And that is very, very, very hard to deal with mentally. Category 5, plan loss. Maybe you are doing fine. You're not sick. You don't really have too much family drama. You haven't lost money, but you had specific plans and now they're gone. And in your mind, you think, I planned this trip and now I can't go. Why am I so upset? Like, there's people on the front lines. I shouldn't be upset. No, like, this is grief, right? You had a specific plan. You had your hopes up for something and now you can't do that. And maybe it's your wedding, right? Maybe it's a family reunion or an anniversary or your graduation. And that is a huge event in your life that you're mourning right now. So please, please recognize that you are also suffering too. And category 6, you're bored as fuck. This is kind of the funny category. This is most likely where most of us are. We're quarantined. We're bored. We have more time on our hands than we ever had before. But for some of you, this might be an extreme form of suffering. A lot of you have been avoiding emotions and avoiding situations. You've been hustling, not even thinking about it. And now you've got all this time on your hands. You were isolated, maybe with yourself, maybe with others, and you have time to think. You have more time than you've ever had before. And maybe there's a lot of stress because you're like, I prayed for time, now I have time, but now I don't even have motivation to do the things I wanted to do. Don't poo-poo this category. This is a very specific form of suffering. And for a lot of you, this might be really, really hard. Before we move on to my epic spiritual tip for all of the categories, I'm so excited to share it with you. I want you to comment below and please share with me what category you are in. And if you fall in multiple categories, definitely share that below because there sometimes are multiple layers of suffering. Are you ready for my #1 spiritual tip? I'm so excited to share this. And I think the reason why I'm most excited to share this is because it works for so many things and it will work for every category, no matter what category you fall in. Are you ready? Count your commitment. Yes, counting. We come from oneness, we're in two-ness. Suffering only happens because of the separation, right? I'm over here, you're over there. You can hurt me, I can hurt you. There's a separation, and the separation also produces a feeling of isolation and loneliness in our own human experience, okay? Now, why does counting work? Well, counting not only honors the fact that there is measurement, right? It isn't this oneness thing where we're just always happy. There are days of suffering, there are days of triumph, but there's days. Another way to look at this is counting your show up days. Now, where this got started for me was in my fitness journey. I lost 30 pounds and I'm on my way to lose about 10, 20 more. But when I went to go approach being 60 pounds overweight and recognizing that I needed to start eating healthy and I needed to start working out, I had tried so many times before to lose weight and I never ever stuck to what I was doing ever. Maybe I would do like a couple weeks at the gym, or maybe I would like run, oh, I'm gonna run, you know, every day, but then I would fall off, right? And when I finally decided to really go all in, something shifted in me when I said, okay, I'm not just gonna press play on this one workout. I am gonna press play for 365 days. And if I can commit for 365 days, and by 366th day, if I'm over this or it's not working, I'll stop and not work out ever again. Obviously, what happened is in those 365 days, I lost 30 pounds. And how did I do this? Well, I used devotionals. So I love me some Jesus, and so I use some Christian devotionals to count my days. I would open up my little Christian devotional book on my Kindle and I would just read day 1, day 2, day 3. And there became this fun excitement about, ooh, it's day 11. What's the devotional going to be? Or, ooh, it's day 50. Like, ooh, I made it to day 100, right? And I started to realize this is everything. By counting, I feel accomplished. I feel proud of myself. And here's the kicker. By counting, I moved my focus from the destination to the journey. You see, if I kept focusing on the destination, oh, I have to get through this workout. Oh, why am I not losing weight? You're just going to go into negative thinking. You really are. You're just going to think of how far you have to go and why am I not getting there and all of that, right? But when you count, you focus on the journey and you end up loving the journey. You end up feeling proud of yourself for what you have accomplished, and you get excited about the idea of how far you can go. It's like challenging yourself. So here's how this is going to work. Step 1, you're going to pick the day you're starting. Okay. Step 2, you're going to decide how long you want to count for. Now, you can count for 1 year. You could do 365. You could do 21 days. You can do 100 days. It's really up to you. But the thought process is this is round 1 of your counting. Then you can go into round 2 of your counting and so forth. You want to have zones, right? So maybe you're like the first 21 days. And then it's like, okay, now I can up it to 100 days, right? And you're going to decide the size of your counting, okay? Step 3 is you're going to decide what level you're doing this at. Small, medium, or large. Let me explain. Small means you're in survival counting mode. It just means you don't have a lot of time. You're on the front lines. Maybe you're sick. Maybe you have family drama. You don't have a lot of time. You need this small, small, small. JFO, give me something quick. I don't got time. If you're medium size, you're in solution counting. Well, what does that mean? That means maybe you had money loss. Maybe you had plan loss and you're feeling really devastated and you're grieving this loss. Well, maybe you have a little bit more time than the survival counting person, but it's still weighing on you and it's still a lot and you don't want to put too much on your plate. So you're a medium counter. You're going to count for solutions. And if you're a large size, then you are a sacred counter. That just means that you've got a ton of time on your hands. You're home, isolated, quarantined, bored. You got so much time. You don't got a lot of stress, but you're bored and your thoughts are just running. That means you can really go deep with this and you can create a very, very sacred commitment. Now that we figured out what day you're starting, how many days your first round is of counting, and what size of counting you're in, survival, solution, or sacred, now I can break down what you're gonna actually do. Okay, so I'm gonna give you some really quick examples of this depending on your size. So if you are a survival counter, I highly suggest to not make this complicated. really all you're gonna do is like, maybe it's a dry erase board and you just put the number 1 on there for the day you're starting. And you wake up the next morning and you put 2, just so you know what day you're on. And I just ask you to think of, I am a survivor. I am a warrior. Some type of very short affirmation that you can, and maybe you have a couple in your arsenal, maybe you pick 2 or 3, but something that you can just continuously say every day that's getting you through that next day, so that you can feel this sense of accomplishment as you go through this pandemic. I got to day 4. Now I'm on day 6, right? I am a warrior. I am a warrior. And what are you working toward? You're working toward surviving through it, so that before you know it, you're going to wake up and be like, it's over. We flattened the curve and it's day whatever, and I did it, right? And it's just going to show you that you are strong and you can commit. An example, if you're a medium solution counter, maybe you've lost your job or you've lost some type of plan you had that isn't happening anymore, and you're just feeling devastated for this loss. Maybe you're feeling like you have a lot more time on your hands, because again, if you've lost the plan or you've lost the job, you're kind of sitting there with more time, right? So you're not really the survival counter, you got a little bit more time. So I would advise actually getting a devotional and really counting your days with a powerful spiritual devotional or some type of book that has little short devotionals. Another tip I have is to focus on, well, how do I want to shift? How do I want to shift from this problem of losing this to the solution of making it better, right? And so maybe it's, okay, I lost my job, but what about my job wasn't serving me? Or what about my job maybe wasn't a full fit? How can I manifest my dream job now? How can I work on manifesting my dream job? And maybe it's a commitment to that. And you say, okay, Sunday's day 1, and I'm going to count for 100 days to manifest my dream job. Do you know how powerful that is, to go from losing your job in midst of fear of this pandemic to saying, hey, for the next 100 days of this weird, crazy scenario that I'm in, that a lot of people are in, I'm going to count 100 days to manifesting a better version of what it looks like for my career. And if you are in the large, sacred counting group, you can go wild because you got all this time in your hands, right? You're bored. You've done all the Netflix binging, you've reorganized the closet, maybe you finished that puzzle that you really wanted to do, you're freaking bored. You've got time to go really in on something big, a really big dream that you have, or maybe an awesome fitness routine, or something just like the next step up. So I would advise for you to journal, just like do a deep dive into like what is like the biggest dream I have right now? What's a creative project that I really want to work on? What is something that I want to change in my life that I can go all in with right now? Decide that, pick your day, and start counting to your greatness. One last thing I'll say is, within this experiencing of counting and using counting to focus on what you're accomplishing and focus on the journey and the commitment you're making to yourself to get through this, another big thing I want you to leverage is your breath. Now, obviously, if you are sick, this might be hard, right? But what I really want us to do is get grounded in the body. Okay, so day 1 of your counting, maybe you do a 1-minute meditation, right? Again, if you've got a lot of time on your hands, you can do like 20 minutes of meditation every day if you wanted to. Maybe that's the thing you commit to, right? But if you don't have a lot of time and you're counting your days, I just advise you to take that 1 minute. Think about it. No matter where you are right now, no matter what front lines you're on, you have to go to the bathroom, right? You're gonna have that quick moment where you run to the bathroom. That's a great moment to just take a deep breath and do a 10 breath meditation just to ground yourself in your body, ground yourself in the journey. You've got this. I believe in you. If you like this video, please comment below, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and of course, like the video. Tell me how this served you in the comments below. How can I serve you more? Join me in my free 6-day e-course called Vibe School, where we're gonna customize self-help for your personality. It's totally free. Just go to highvibes.com and put your name and email in, and I will connect with you soon. Remember, You are a star in the movie of your life, and you have a special destiny that's unique to you. So keep keeping on, and I'll catch you next week on the High Vibe Show with JFO. No, what does that even mean? I keep saying bow to you. What is that? Why am I bowing?
Home, rush to see if she called or even left a message for me. In a flash, all alone.